Welcome to today's episode of Cook What You Have. Today we're going to do basic ground beef and pasta with whatever you have in your kitchen. I went ahead and diced and cubed some vegetables and onions, garlic, which I'm going to use to heat up in the pan, and follow me as I go along. So when I say ground beef and pasta, the first thing everybody thinks of is pasta sauce and all the, the basic stuff. But I don't have pasta sauce. I'm not going out to buy any. I'm going to use ketchup. I'm going to show you how I'm going to stretch my sauce with ketchup. So I went ahead and boiled some water. I have my pan heated and I have all my ingredients ready to go. Today I'm using penne pasta because that's what I have. Now if you have elbow mac and cheese, for like the mac and cheese or spaghetti, you can use that because you are your own cook in your own home. I happen to have penne pasta. I'm not going to the store, so this is what I am going to use. I'm deciding whether or not I'm going to use the whole thing because it's just a few of us in the household right now, but we eat a lot, so maybe I'll do the whole thing. So now remember, whenever you're doing pasta, a lot of water is essential so that the pasta can move around and not stick together. So water is the key, not a whole lot of oil and all that stuff. Water is the key. And it's important to salt your water because it gives you flavor. It's the first ingredient, salt, basic salt. Don't over salt it, especially if you're going to add more seasoning from the meats. Don't over salt it. So while we do this, we'll go ahead and season ground beef. Now, we all know ground beef is expensive in the BVI. If you want to have ground chicken, use ground chicken. I happen to have a ground beef. Thank you, Lord. What I'm going to do is season it with a little bit of allspice seasoning. And what that does is help to cut the, the scent of the meat, if you understand. Sometimes we say like chicken has a little raciness. I find that the ground meat tend to have a little scent. So I tend to use allspice or a little clove. I have my Worcestershire sauce. Complete seasoning. Now every household has to have a complete seasoning. I don't know when Badia came up with this, but it's a must-have in every household. Just makes everything taste complete. Now, I don't do measurements. I eyeball everything. When I cook, I taste. If I need to add more seasoning, I do add more seasoning. Now, everybody knows that Sazon, everything tastes better with Sazon. Now, this is a choice. If for any health reason you don't want to use Sazon, don't use it. I am going to use it because it makes everything taste better. Now I had a pack open already because in my household, if people don't see what's in front of them, they're gonna open everything. So I'll just use what I have. Putting in all the ingredients, mixing it up together. I had one ground beef, but if your family is a little bigger and eats a little more, you can do two. But I am going to stretch mine. That's why I have vegetables. And that's that. One of the things I also like to do is use blended seasoning. If I have like a pepper or onion or garlic or stuff that's going to go bad, or even if you cook a lot and you don't want to have to dice or cut up stuff, blend it up in the food processor, add a little oil, add a little salt, stays forever. Quick fix. So like I mentioned already, have my pot heated. Going to add some corn oil, vegetable oil, olive oil, whatever your heart desire. You use what you have. Don't go out buying anything. So my pan has been heated so that I get a nice temperature burn. What I will do is go ahead and add my onions and garlic and pepper because I like to get that permeating and a nice little burn to it. Brings out the flavor in the meat. So I'll go ahead and get that all fried up. As a young mother of 3, yes, I have 3 children, probably by the age of 24. picky eaters, nah, they ate whatever I gave them. And so you come home from school, you come home from work, you're tired, you don't know what to cook. Jeanette will go in her house, in her cupboard, and just cook whatever she found. And they didn't have a problem with that because, hey, mommies were the first Googles, the first heroes of anything. So we always made sure that the food tasted good. So this is onions, garlic, red and green pepper. House done smelling nice, like a Sunday meal. I'm gonna let that cook a little bit until it's just nice and tender. I forgot something, a spoon I'm gonna go get. Like I mentioned, you have to store your pasta. You leave it there to cook, it's going to be like porridge. We don't want porridge. So just keep storing it, but make sure it has a lot of water. Okay? I didn't read the ingredients, but in the Caribbean we eyeball everything. Once it's nice and tender, you drain it and cool it. Yeah. So our onions and peppers, nice and tender. Here is where you want to have it. One of the things I forgot to do, yes, I put in my cloves and my garlic and all that stuff, but salt and pepper, key ingredient in anything, makes it taste better. I'm just gonna put some brown pepper here and salt. Now, again, you can use what you have. Get that all incorporated. Kitchen already smelling like a gourmet kitchen. And all we're doing is cooking some basic ground beef. And like I said, if you have both, you can incorporate ground chicken and ground beef. Let me tell you, the flavor, awesome. Even if you have ground pork, you do that. You do what your heart desires, what your family likes to eat. So I'm going to let this brown up a bit and then add my vegetables. One of the things I don't like to do is add it in too soon and then it overcooks because it's still going to go into the oven. So I like to make sure I have a little crunch. Right, looking nice and bright. So remember I said I don't have pasta sauce, so we're going to do ketchup. At this stage, you can actually put in the ketchup so that it incorporates in the meat and then it takes the color. Put as much as you like. Like I say, I don't measure. I don't measure, but you know, when I'm asked to assist anybody in the kitchen, like at home, I'll measure them so that they remember. Looking nice already. Lovely. Let's check on my pasta because I don't want it to be lumpy. I need everything to be nice and loose. I love penne pasta. Penne pasta to just soak up all the juices in any food you use, especially chicken Alfredo. Woo. Lovely. Okay. You don't want to turn up your heat too high either, and if you have a non-stick pan, all the best. All the best. I mean, and nothing will stick up together. I'm using a very heavy iron pan. So I'm moving it around because I just need it to cook evenly. These burners tend to get ahead of themselves and burn. So at this stage, I'm going to add my broccoli. Now I had some broccoli in the fridge that was almost expired. I cleaned them up, cut them up, and I'm going to add them to my pasta meal. And remember I tell you, now any meal that I cook, it could be peas and carrots in a can, we are going to have vegetables. So my children would tell you, or I would say, if you train up a child to, children tend to be very picky, but if you spice up vegetables. Like my son, I would do once a year, my oldest son, I would do eggplant around Easter time, traditional saltfish meal. And I couldn't get him to eat eggplant, but one day I just diced up some garlic in there and some butter. And listen, every year if you don't get that, he'll ask what it is. And he will probably ask if he could cook it too if I didn't do it, but I tend to do it every year. So I say all of that to say, you can spice up vegetables to make sure it's tasty. You know, you could trick them. Another trick I used to do was give them water in wine glass. I was never a big juice or soft drink person, and so they got the wine glass, put water in it, and you could tell them, Sharon, it wasn't at the Dove or Seven having a fine meal. So at this point, we're going to add the mixture of mushrooms, tomato, and carrots. Again, that's all the vegetables I had. That's what I use. Mix them around evenly. Smells so good. Smells so good and looks so good. And taste as you go along. The only person who's going to know how your food tastes is you. Before you give it to anybody, taste your food. That's where I want it. So like I mentioned again, I didn't have pasta sauce. I used ketchup for the color. I'm going to make my sauce. What I had in my fridge, and it's because I love anything with like cheese and cream, I have sour cream, so it's always a staple in my house. I'm going to use this with some cornstarch and water just to thicken it and season it, and then I have my sauce for my penne pasta dish. I forgot something. I'm going to go get my cornstarch. I forgot that. Cornstarch, any type of cornstarch, any brand you have, use it. Again, this is another staple in the house. If you don't have cornstarch, you can use flour. And if you're like me, if you have pancake mix, use that too. That's your business. So what you need is just about a tablespoon of the cornstarch. Add a bit of water. I'm just going to use water from my fridge. Not a whole lot. Just enough to thicken it. Now, if it gets too thick, you could add more water. So you're going to get that nice creamy mixture. Use a fork to take out any lumps. And I only had a little bit of sour cream in it, but that's fine. I'm still going to get that nice creamy texture. Have a fork, take out the lumps. This pasta talking to me. Soon ready to come out. But I think this burner working faster than this burner. Here we go. Pour it in. Now when you're pouring it in, you want to stir. Get everything nicely incorporated. Now I can see from here it's going to get a little thick, so what I will do is add a little more water. And I'll likely add a little more ketchup as well. Now, depending on the brand of ketchup, taste of ketchup, you can use the salt-free one or just regular ketchup. I try not to cook with too much salt, and that's for health reasons, but it's entirely up to you how you want your dish to taste. So if you don't have pasta sauce, you got to wing it. Just use what you have, use your imagination, and come up with your own creative dishes. We know how expensive it is shopping in the big. Every time you go to the supermarket, you say, okay, you're going for 2 items, and end up picking up $500. So we just use what we have. I'm going to add a little more water. Now, me adding water might take a little of the salt out, and I will just add some salt to taste. Again, continue to taste your meals as you go along. You are your chef in your kitchen. I swear I am a chef. I watch so much Food Network that when I am in my kitchen, I feel like I have an audience and I'm going to win an award. I always wanted to be on Food Network, but maybe one day we'll have a local Food Network show. So if you could see here, you have your own sauce. Like, you made your own sauce that's going to swim in the pasta. That's going to be so nice and thick and delicious. Oh, when you see the final output, it's going to be lovely. One of the things I need to add is my red pepper flake. My family knows I love pepper, and so they have to adapt to it because I am the one that's cooking. Now, if you're cooking for children, you want to be a little more lenient and maybe not use the red pepper flakes. I like to add thyme to all my dishes. I always have thyme. I remember during the lockdown when we were all, we became gardeners, we became all sorts of different creators. My husband bought thyme and rosemary from the store, I kid you not, and planted them by hand. Talk about a green thumb. I've been trying that for years. My mother tried that for years. No luck. And so we always have fresh thyme in our yard and rosemary. Also basil. Thanks to my husband. Now I know sometimes people tend to just cut up stuff with a stem. I don't like that. I don't want to be choking on no stem when I'm eating. I like to eat free because I like to eat as well. So I always like to add my thyme just when my food is finished because it locks in the flavor to be better than when it started, and you lose the taste and smell of the thyme. So I am going to turn this off or transfer it to another burner right here and move my pasta over for a little more heat because I think this burner is tired for whatever reason. I'm going to taste this again. Right salt content. My secret, I add a little white wine. Any white wine you have. Happen to have Moscato, so I'm just going to add a capful, or maybe two. We're all adults in this house, so that's fine. Now, if you have children, you want to consider not putting in any alcohol. But when you cook in any dish, especially pasta dishes, wine is one of the secret or key ingredients to bring out the flavor or enhance the flavor. So I use two. Incorporate that around. Smells so good. So that's how you stretch your sauce if you did not have store-bought pasta sauce. So right now at this point, I'm just gonna stir my pasta one more time. Seems al dente. Al dente means it's just half cooked, which is fine because I'm going to put it in the oven. Turn this off. And I'm headed to the sink to drain. So now that our penne pasta is completely drained, what you want to do is add a bit of oil. Let me get the oil from the cupboard. I did have my other oil, but I love olive oil. Olive oil just brings out the flavor in everything, I kid you not. But like I said, you use whatever you have. The oil keeps the pasta loose, adds flavor. And I'm going to add my blended seasoning with this. Trust me, you want to have some blended seasoning. Quick and easy. Makes everything taste delicious. Put that on the side. You know, one of the faults I have when I'm cooking, I tend not to use a whole lot of these. I would be like this and this and burn myself and then end up with all sorts of tattoos on my hand. I don't know what I think, if I think I'm a superhero, but yeah, that's a downside of me cooking. But I'm trying my best to be more careful. Lovely. So we have our pasta, we have our ground beef over here, and I'm going to get my pan. one of the things when I'm in the kitchen cooking, I cannot cook in a messy kitchen, so from time to time, I just have to stop and take up the stuff that's in my way so that I can function better. All right, so I got a deep dish pan. I'm going to spray it, going in the oven. You don't want your pasta sticking up. You know, sometimes you do a baked dish and everything's sticking up. I like to spray mine evenly. And then, I may not use all this pasta. It seems like a lot of pasta, and I will use it for a dish tomorrow. So I'm thinking whether or not I should add first and then mix. Yeah, probably will. Now, if it is that you want to add breadcrumbs or eggs or something else to, you know, hold this and incorporate it so it's a lot tighter, you can go ahead and do that. I tend not to do it. Oh, this looks so good on its own and smells so good. Yes. Just having that blended season at hand. Listen, you put that in rice, you put it on fish, you put it in your stewed chicken. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So this was indeed a big pack of pasta. So I think I'm gonna put some on the side and probably use it for a dish tomorrow. See, I almost took it up. It's hot without using my mitten. Go. Take this out of the way. Doesn't this look good? It smells so good. Pour it in. Don't do all at the same time. You want to pour it in, pour some, mix it around. Pour again. Mix it around. Now, if you had your spaghetti sauce, you know this is come out like a lasagna-ish type meal. But if you stretch the sauce with any ingredient that you have, sauces that you have, you're your own chef. So this smells so good. Now, I've made several pasta dishes over the years because I have pasta eaters in my house. You know, they love pasta. I remember one time, you know, those big pasta shells, they're kind of like hollow, and we stuffed them with same ground beef and cheese. Listen, usually in my house when I cook, nothing is left back. Nothing, absolutely nothing. So you see, I took out half of the pasta, added with the ground beef, and it's actually sufficient. So you might be asking where the sauce is. It's in there. Trust me, it's in there. Penne pasta tends to soak up a lot because it has a lot of holes in it. So what I'm going to do now is get some cheese. Mozzarella cheese. Always have it in my house, because I like to make my own pizza as well. You add it. Now this is optional. If you're allergic to cheese or for a dietary reason you don't like cheese, you don't have to add it. And again, if you're cooking for people or, you know, your family and persons don't like salt, you keep a balance. If they want to add salt afterwards, they can. So I'm going to put half the cheese on now so it can melt in, and then I'm just going to run it in the oven. It's a simple dish, cooking what you have at home. No pasta sauce, you made your own sauce, you stretch it. That's your meal. So I already have my oven on 350. We'll turn it up a little bit because we're gonna keep this in here for maybe about 10 minutes. So I turn it up from 350 to 375. Going to clear all of this and wait for a meal to bake. All right, we're checking on our ground beef and penne pasta dish. Look at that. Have a nice little brown to it. Cheese melted. Yum, yum. Now, feel free. I say back some cheese. So I'm gonna add some cheese. Just some added cheese. Optional again. If you don't have cheese, you don't have cheese. If you have the grated Parmesan cheese, that's a nice addition as well. I'm gonna just add a little more cheese, as I like cheese. Now, me and cheese aren't any friends. Anytime I eat dairy, I break out. But then just have a little Histol, good to go again. Happen to have a box handy. It is hot. It is cheesy. Yum. This is my take on ground beef and pasta. Didn't have the pasta sauce, made my own sauce, came out just as good. Try it. Enjoy.